Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deb Callahan, and I'm the CEO at NFRC. As part of our Emerging Technology and Sustainability webinar series, we strive to deliver the latest thinking in the fenestration and green building industries, along with insight about market trends. And as some of you may already know, Women in Construction Week was March 3rd to 9th, and NFRC is keeping the momentum going with today's webinar, which is entitled Leading and Retaining Women in the Industry. This is a topic that ties into NFRC's Women in Fenestration Network, which we started several years ago. It's something that is really near and dear to me because it builds community and fosters a spirit of connectiveness among women in the fenestration industry, which of course is part of the broader green building community. So as part of our ongoing education and outreach initiative, NFRC recently reached out to the National Association of Women in Construction to open the lines of communication between our two organizations. We recognize that we could both benefit by bringing our stakeholders together, and that's really what brought us here today, and we're so excited about it. I'm going to get started by introducing our panel of experts, and I want to thank them right off the bat for making the time to be here with NFRC today. Really appreciate it. So first we have Chrissy Ingram. She's the Executive Director for NAWIC. Chrissy guides initiatives to promote diversity, inclusion, and professional development for women across all facets of the construction sector, which is simply amazing, Chrissy. Chrissy believes in the power of education and mentorship to inspire the next generation of female leaders in construction and beyond. Really powerful work. So thank you so much for that, Chrissy. And next we have Cindy Spiropoulos. And Cindy, I hope I got your name right. She's the safety director at HJ. She's been involved in the construction industry for over 30 years, working in almost every aspect of construction, from estimating to costing, job costing, scheduling, engineering, and superintendent. And this is really cool. Cindy chose safety as her passion, having worked in this capacity for 20 years. She's been a member of the NAWIC Greater Orlando chapter for 25 years. And we were just talking about this before we all got online, but what Cindy likes most about her job is that there are dogs in the office on any given day. So Cindy is definitely our people. We also have Karen Hager, who works as the HR manager for AB Design Group, which is an architectural and engineering group. Karen's been in the industry since 1986, and she's been a member of the Greater Orlando chapter of NAWIC since 2006. She's currently the national president of NAWIC Southeast Regional Director, and she just is someone else that we are so excited to get to know more about and really to get her insights on some of the HR issues around women in the workplace. So we're excited to have Karen with us here today. I'm really so impressed and so excited. So we're just going to go through a couple of housekeeping items, and then I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy, who will lead the discussion. So a couple of things, everyone. If you have questions, please type them in the Q&A box rather than in the chat box. Makes it easier for us to manage. Also, we're recording this webinar. We're going to post it on NFRC's website. We encourage you to share this with others whom you might think would be interested in it, who really want to spread the word here, and again, create this great relationship between NAWIC and NFRC. That's it. I think we're going to really learn a lot today, and I'm going to hand it over to Chrissy. And also, don't hold your questions until the end. Again, put them in the Q&A box, and Chrissy will field them as they come through. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy.
Thank you so much, Deb. Hello, everyone. So very glad for you to join us. Just wanted to kind of start out a little bit, letting you know a little bit about NAWIC. We have been around since 1953. We started as the Women in Construction of Fort Worth in 1953 with 16 women. We ended up on a national level chartering our national association in 1954. 5 in September, and have just grown and grown from that 16 women who started us off to just about 5,800 women across the country now. We have 120 chapters, and we're just about to charter another in Northern Alabama this month. So continuing to grow. The sense of community and networking and professionalism is just something to behold in this association. And so I think even throughout the pandemic and everything, as everyone was worried about the future, and we were still growing and still finding ways to get together, really speaks to the community that we have created. We love to add to that at any time too. So really excited to be speaking with our national president, Karen Hager, and coming right up the line behind her, our secretary on a national level, Cindy Spiropoulos, who are both dynamic women who are doing so much in their companies and in this association and in lives in high schools and middle schools to really get that education out there and get young girls excited about construction and all of the different things that we can do in the industry. So that's kind of where I would love to start out this conversation, is kind of talking about the different career choices that you can make in the industry, such as HR and accounting and safety. I would love to talk, Cindy, if you would, I would love to hear a little bit about green building certifications. You have your LEED GA, and I would love to hear some more about that.
Let's help if I unmute. Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for that. And I have two parts to this question, and I took some notes on this because if you're going for your LEED certification, first, there are several that you can go for. There's the LEED GA, which is a prerequisite for a LEED AP. And these are all test requirements. And what you can do is you can actually go to the U.S. Green Building Council. Their website is usgbc.org, and you can sign yourself up for it. But you have to take the LEED GA first before you take the LEED AP. And then there's you can get other things that are specialized in the LEED area. Just so you understand what LEED stands for, it's leadership in energy and environmental design. And then there's other forms of certificates that you can get. And that's where I'm going to go into next with for your project. For your project, you have to decide which do you want. There's LEED, there's what they call BREEAM, and then they also have WELL. BREEAM is a new one. To me, it's building research, establishment, and environmental assessment methods. So you have to determine which certificate that you really want to go for when you start looking for a certificate for your building. You have to understand the certification requirements. There are a lot. And if you visit this website, you can choose your certification. They have all the guidelines there that you need, the documents that you need to go ahead and proceed with your certificate. There are different kinds of criterias and categories that you really need to look into. So make sure that you read through them, extensively. Attending training and programs and workshops. I got a group together when I was taking my LEED certificate. I got a group of girls together, and we practice every, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday night. I don't remember. It was kind of a long time ago. And we just quiz each other and quiz each other and quiz each other. They give you the book. They even give you little test questions at the end that will help you with those. So make sure that you have a support group, because these exams are not easy. They are very, very difficult, and they're very, what's the word I really want to use? They're very extensive. They ask you so much stuff about little things that you got to remember. The programs have training and workshops and stuff like that that you can, work on. Also, engage with professionals, people like myself or someone else that that already has their LEED certificate. Join them and network with them and collaborate with them and they're there to help you. I mean, there's consultants out there, there's, engineers and sustainability people. They're all there to help you. So that's another way of trying to get yourself, a little ahead of the game. You have to implement green building strategies. One of the things that I put down here in my notes is apply sustainability design and construction practices in your building or your project that align with the chosen certificate that you are required, that you want. Focus on water and energy efficiency, sustainable material, indoor environmental quality, site selection, and other green building principles. So there's a lot involved when you're going for this, that you have to look at your project and then you have to find out which one is going to work for you. Make sure document. It is all about documentation. With these documents, you get points, and this is how you get to a certain level on your building. So what is very important is compile all the necessary documents required by that certification program, such as energy modules, waste management plans, indoor air quality measurements, material selections, ensure that documents meet the specific criteria of that certain program. When you have dumpsters out on the job, you got one for concrete, one for wood, and one for, you just regular household garbage. You get points for all of those, and that's how you get yourself up to a certain one. Then you're going to end up submitting your application, and you have to make sure that the application is complete with all the guidelines that are provided with that certain, criteria that you're meeting. Pay the required fee, of course, and submit the supporting documents electronically through the designated portal. They're going to review your application, and the certification body will review your documents and conduct an evaluation to assess if your building or your project meets the needs of the required criteria. And this may include a site visit. They might want more documentation, or they might want to come in and interview you. So there's a lot. Once that is all done, you get to the good part, the certification awards. If your building or your project qualifies, you will be awarded the Green Building Certificate. The certificate may be awarded at different levels. Just because you can't reach one thing doesn't mean to quit. Do not quit, because all your points will add up to at least, the lowest level, which is your silver. Then you have gold, and then you have platinum, depending on your certificate program. So to maintain these, you have to submit documents within 5 years to see how much energy you saved. If you put different windows in, and then that's a little bit more light, so we're not using so much electricity. I mean, you've all heard about the toilets that only flush, 1 gallon instead of 3 gallons. So it's the water that you save. So you have to track all this stuff and then keep submitting it to keep your green building association. So any questions? I know that's a lot to take in, but.
Cindy, who submits that down the road? Say that 5 years, 8 years down the road, who submits that? That's
a good question. Each project that you're going for a LEED certificate, whether it be gold or platinum, it's the LEED that you have to have a LEED certified person on the job. They're the ones that are responsible for that. So that would be like me if I was. We have one LEED project that we did, and I'm the one that did all the submitting of all the stuff to keep up with it. And don't forget, when these jobs are done and you're 1 year of, you have 1 year that we have to keep on going back to make sure everything, then you need to train somebody at their department or that building. Okay, listen, you need to keep track of your water, your electricity, this, to keep your certification, and then they take it over. So it's usually 1 year after you're done working with that project.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Karen, I'd love to hear more about, I know you kind of have a two-phase career going on with accounting and with HR, and I would love to hear more about that.
Well, actually, I've been doing accounting the majority of the time. I started out as an accounting clerk, like back in 1986, for a company that was just starting to do their computerized accounting system. So I got in on the ground floor of all of this stuff. I mean, I'm talking pre-Windows, so that's how old I am. But, I've been doing accounting this whole time. left a job that I'd been at for 30 years, went to another one, and now I've ended up in what I consider my dream job because it's a place where I'm appreciated. And it just happens to come with a human resource role, which I am learning so much about human resources, but I had been kind of picking up things along the way because my best friend is a human resource specialist. So, it's just getting into these dual roles that get a little complicated once in a while because you have the confidentiality of both accounting and human resources. You can't let everyone know what's going on in accounting, and you can't let people know what employees come to you for. So it's a very unique position that you're in, that you have to keep all these secrets. It's and I'm one that likes to talk to people, but I have to remember, can't tell people things.
Sorry, my dog is starting to bark, but I wanted to ask you about finding that passion and finding that dream job and finding where you truly feel, appreciated and valued, and that you're really living up to your top potential. Like, how do what kind of advice would you give a young lady coming up into the industry on how to really find that for themselves?
Well, I have to tell you, it's I'm coming from that generation that you stay at a job as long as you can. You don't have to do that anymore. Employers aren't looking for someone that's been somewhere for 30 years and is so stuck in their ways that they're not going to learn something new. But I encourage anyone that I talk to, young, older, whatever, to continue learning. I said in a recent seminar I was in, don't learn things for the job that you're in. Learn things for the job that you want to be in. So you don't stay in this rut. And like I said, I left a job after 30 years, and it took a long time for me to get to that point where I had emotionally gotten to where I either had to leave or I was going to have a mental breakdown. And then when I left there, I went to another place where I was at for 2.5 years, and it just made it easier for me to leave there because I knew this is not the environment I wanted to be in. And then when I got the job I'm at, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, how do you get another job in your 40s and your 50s? This job I got now, I got at the age of 57. So you can start over anywhere. You don't have to think, I can't start over somewhere, or I don't know enough to start somewhere else, or I can't get as good a job somewhere else, because you can. If you continue learning and you've got a solid resume that you can take to an employer that speaks to what your skill set is, then they're going to hire you. And don't be afraid after a year, if you say, this is not working out for me, leave. There are plenty of people out there looking for good employees. So that's what you have to do. You have the confidence in yourself. If someone's not treating you right, you don't need to be there. If they're not appreciating what you're bringing to the table, you don't need to be there. And it took me a long time to learn that, but I'm finally at a place that appreciates the knowledge and the skills that I bring to them. And they tell me every day how happy they are that I'm here. When I told them, when I interviewed for this position, they said, well, what's your goal for a place you work at? And I said, I want somewhere I can retire from. And they told me, whoa, that's a lot of pressure. And a year later, they said, we want to be the place you retire from. So
I love that. I think that speaks a lot, Karen, to kind of your theme for this year and what you're saying with that networking and that learning, just constant learning. That's where you're going to get that confidence to, you know what, this isn't quite, my speed. Let me go find something else. Let me go find something, and not getting yourself stuck. And I love that you spread that message to ladies to, learn all you can, network all you can, use your resources, and have that confidence to get to the right place where you can be happy. And you and they are both so happy that you're there until you're done working, right? So yeah. I love that.
I just want to back up on Karen here. And I totally agree. I left the company after 24 years, and it was really difficult. And, but you know what? Just like Karen said, it's either it was going to kill me or I got to go. But you know what? It was one of the hardest things I did. And then once again, just like her, I went to another job. I was there for 3 years. Not quite what I wanted, but and then once again, got my dream job. So Karen, I think you explained that beautifully, and definitely stick with it. If you're not happy, there's plenty of,
Yeah.
and I was 55, so when I left.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. And I'm sure it has to be a little bit scary, but that's where that having that network of people around you that are supportive and can stand by you while you go through those scary times and get through that. We do have a question that in the Q&A that I would like to bring up. Could you talk a little bit about trends in women's leadership in the industry?
Well, I think it's starting to trend that women are becoming leaders more and more in the industry because we're starting to be able to speak out for ourselves. I know in NAWIC, and especially for me, joining that association gave me a voice that I can take to my leadership. I am considered in my company that I'm in right below the partners. We have 3 partners in our company, and I am right below those partners. That if during COVID, I was actually told that if they had to shut down, I would be one of the 4 people that would still be here, 3 of them being the partners. So I think that we're finding our voice, and we have associations like NAWIC, NAWBO, all of those women's leadership organizations out there that are helping us. We're starting to trend more and more into these leadership positions. I know we're still very low in what our percentage is in construction. It's still less than 12%, but it's building. I mean, it started out at 7-8% when I got into the industry. And as long as we continue to grow, and fortunately, I think we have a generation coming up. I know my grandson says, I don't know why women aren't in construction. I think women have every right to be in construction. So we've got a whole generation coming up that are used to their mothers and sisters and aunts and grandmothers being in the construction industry. And I think that's the wave of our future, to teach our young people that we're here to stay.
Going along with that, on experiences with industry boards and being received as a woman and being given the opportunity. I know in our association, obviously, being women only, we're very accepted, and we're very led to lead and led to help others lead. But in your careers out there and being received as a woman up until this point, can you talk about experiences there, either one of you?
I've been really fortunate that being in accounting, I've kind of been in a niche. And like I said, you know, with my continuous learning, I've always brought to the leadership in any company that I've worked with a skill set. When I was with the company for 30 years, it was an HVAC company. Like I said, I started out at the lowest accounting position, quickly grew in the position within a year, got to step up, and then kept growing, step up. And then when they said, we're moving to a new operating system on our computers, do you want to learn how to use it? Absolutely. So, you know, I learned 3 different operating systems working at this company on the computers. I learned how to take apart computers and put them together. So I kept learning outside of my position and making myself invaluable to this company. And because of that, I never seemed to have the discrimination or the abuse that a lot of women have in the construction industry, because I had that strong knowledge and no one else had that knowledge. So that's something I can't really relate to because I've never experienced that. And even going to the next company, that was probably the first place that I received a little bit of looking down on me from the president of the company. And his comment was, well, you don't know anything about football. I'm like, I'm your CFO. I don't need to know about football. So that's why I only stayed there 2.5 years, and I moved on because I did not need to be in that misogynistic environment. And I left. And when I said, I'm giving you 2 weeks notice, he's like, no, we need at least a month. I said, no, you don't. I'm leaving. That's it.
Yeah.
So you just have to find your voice. You have to be strong. And, they say when you sit at the table, don't sit there quietly. If you've got an opinion, voice it. And if they're not listening, continue to voice it. Say it again and again until they do listen. So that's what you have to do.
I love that. And Cindy, from your perspective, because you're out visiting job sites and working with safety and things on the job sites, and I'm sure you have some pushback there from time to time. I would love to hear about that.
I have a few stories, and I tell these a lot. And don't forget, I've been in the business for over 30 years. So this was way back when the whistling on the top of the roof was happening. That doesn't happen anymore. Most of the time, and I appreciate it, it's yes, ma'am, especially here in the South, they usually say yes, Miss Cindy or whatever. So that's good. But some of my good stories are when I was a superintendent, one of the guys was asking me something, and I said, well, let's go look at the drawings. I said, what does the drawing say? So when we went to go look at the drawings, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was pointing down. They said, oh, we just wanted to see if you could read drawings. And I'm like, really? I'm like, come on. So I get that. And then the other thing I think, and I still struggle with this a little bit, even after being in safety a long time, here I am trying to tell a 6'5" guy, brawly, that, hey, you can't do that. And I'm 5'1" with a wing and a prayer. And I'm like, I said, you can't do that. What do you mean I can't do it? I've been doing it like this forever. I said, well, that doesn't mean it's right. So I tried to approach them in you can kill, I can get more bees with honey. So it works most of the time, but then you got the ones with the attitude. And then that's when I got to push a little bit and just say, hey, if this is something you don't want to do, then you don't need to work here. I said, I have a right to take you right off this job site right now. I said, so either you can call your wife and your kids and tell them you're not getting a paycheck, or you can go ahead and put your hard hat on. It would be stupid. So
I love that.
I made one guy call his wife. This was 10 years ago. He was on a scaffold and he had a big opening window, and he could have just not tied off, nothing. He could have fallen right out of that window. I said, I want you to call your wife right now and tell her that you're sorry that you did this stupid thing. I made him call her right then. I don't do that anymore, but
that's wonderful.
I know.
I love that.
Sometimes they don't think. But I'll tell you, it has gotten a lot better over the years. I mean, a lot better. And I'll tell you, it's really the way you approach them. They're not used to, these guys are not used to taking, command. I mean, listening to a woman saying, you have to do this. They don't want to do that. But it's gotten so much better in the last, I would say 10, 15 years. I would say 90% of the time, they'll be like, yes, ma'am. So
that's wonderful. Yeah. In the association industry, it's so much easier to be taken, seriously from the get-go, right? Being a woman. You don't have to, I mean, you definitely have to show that your stuff and all of that, but you're taken a little bit more seriously, especially where I'm at. I mean, I've got the Cloud9 job where I work with all women. So it's absolutely amazing. Talk about your dream job. So the mentorship and the community that I have been invited into in this association, and building up leaders in our association, we do it within the office. I mean, I didn't start out as the executive director, but I worked my way up to that. And I think that mentorship is a really big part of that. And so building on that idea of mentorship, do either of you have some success stories that you would like to share of mentoring young women who are considering a career path in construction?
I'll grab this one first. We at the Greater Orlando chapter, we have a mentoring program. And what we do is we meet once a week, or I think once a month. I'm sorry. It's a 8-month, I think, platform. And we meet once a month and we give them goals of what they need to do. And I had a young lady who brand new member. I think she was an engineer for a construction company. And I said, well, what are your goals? You know, what do you want as your goals? And she said, I want to be a project manager. And I said, okay. I said, and then each week we say, well, how are you going to get to that goal? You know, and I said, so each month I said, well, did you reach the goal that we had planned for you? Yes, I did. And then next month we make another goal. Well, Nicole Elijah, if you guys, I think you know her, is now a project manager for her company that she's working for right now. So
That's amazing. That's got to be an amazing feeling to have helped kind of coach her along and get her there. That's absolutely
and
wonderful.
even the young kids, you know, we do a construction career camp. And I always do the safety in the very, very beginning. And there's this one girl that every year I go, she always pulls me aside. She says, I want to do safety. I want to do safety. Well, she's a senior now. So I just one of my colleagues and I just did a presentation for them, for the seniors and some others. And so she's getting ready. She's already got her first aid CPR, you know, certification, and she's going for her forklift certification and all this other stuff. So I gave her some ideas of things to do. You know, she needs to get her OSHA 10. I'm going to sponsor her for her OSHA 10. And then I told her, and that way she can get started on the rest. So, and it all started with construction career camp. So she's going to go places. She's a good kid.
That's amazing. I love it. I was gonna ask you about the OSHA 10, so that's really cool that she'll be getting to do that. And does she have to already graduate to do those things, or can she start doing those now as a senior?
And that's what we were talking to the kids in the class. You can start a lot of this stuff now. So when you go for that first job, hey, I'm CPR certified. I have my OSHA 10. I have this, I have that. There's a lot that they can do now. There's no age limit on a lot of this stuff. So, and I told her, I said, I gave her my card. I said, anytime you need me with a question or anything else, a reference. The problem is in safety, it's really hard to find those, you know, down at the bottom, starting jobs. You know, all these people want somebody with a lot of experience because, you know, safety is such a huge issue. So, you know, they don't want somebody that doesn't really have a whole lot of experience. That's why sometimes starting in manufacturing is a good idea. So it's not as intense as construction, but definitely it's someplace you can at least start and do safety there. But it's just a matter of experience, you know, after that. So
That's awesome, because one day she will be where you are and she'll be able to mentor and
I hope
teach
so.
the younger ladies. That's amazing. Karen, how about you?
I really don't have an opportunity much to see the younger people, like the high school people. I know when we do our construction camps, I've gone and volunteered a couple of times. Mostly what I try to do is encourage our younger members that come in to look towards leadership roles and encourage them, let them know that they are capable of doing this. You know, you get a lot of them coming in there. It's like, I don't have a lot of experience. I don't know how to do this. And you just, you know, I talk to them and let them know, yes, you are capable. This is where I started out, because I have my story where I started out and then where I am now. And I don't think it's a big deal because I've done it, but they all think it's a big deal.
And
So
don't forget, you teach that the CBT class
yeah.
for all those people and all those students and even regular people, which is amazing, by the way.
So yeah, just, you know, being able to tell them my story and let them know that you can do it. Just don't take as long as I did, but you can do it.
So what would you and this either, or actually I would love to hear from both of you on this, the role of an association, or you know, a trade association or professional association in these job roles and in, you know, moving up and having these opportunities. What do you think that NAWIC and other associations have to help with that? Where are they in that piece?
Well, one of the things that we have is the mentorship and the networking. I mean, I've had opportunities through my association with NAWIC that I would not have had if I hadn't joined. I think one of the things that helped me get my job that I'm at now is when I interviewed, I had been put on the cover of Who's Who in Building Construction from the Blue Book magazine. And I brought that magazine in and pushed it in front of the interviewees and said, this is what NAWIC can do for you. I'm really big into NAWIC, so just so you know, I'm not going to stop. And now I've got a big poster of that hanging on my wall. So everyone that walks in my office are like, hey, that's you. I'm like, yes, it is. So yeah, it gets you out there and meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise meet, especially me in an accounting position. I'm in the office every day, seeing the same people every day. But when I go to a NAWIC meeting or a NAWIC function, I'm meeting those people that I wouldn't otherwise meet and getting perspectives from them of what's going on in their industries and in their offices or out in the field, which being the national president makes me a better president because I listen to the members of what they want from our organization. And that's why, education is huge to me because I know our members need that. They need education in leadership. They need education in the field. They need education of what opportunities are available for them. And that just makes me better to be able to talk to all of them.
Yeah, I think that in my role in the association and being able to go to expos, build expos and things like that, and meeting people and going to our own annual conference and meeting women and seeing what they're all doing. That I've found out about roles that I never would have known existed and what they need to be successful in those roles and things like that makes me a better leader and really can help the association to help those women even more. So it all goes back to meeting people, talking to people. It's really exciting. Cindy, how about you?
What I was going to say is, first of all, one of the things that really helped me move up is the educational part. And I'm a big fan of NEF. And for those of you that don't know NEF, it's our NAWIC Education Foundation. They offer all kinds of classes and certifications, which Karen teaches one of them herself. Great opportunity to take that. That will help you grow. That'll help you be a better person, a better leader. There's online classes that you can take. National is offering stuff, all kinds of panels that you can sit on and listen to. I mean, it's amazing. Workshops, go to annual conferences and go to forums and fall conferences and all these. They have all kinds of workshops and stuff. I go to ones that I'm not going to say bad at, but very weak. Like accounting is not like my strong area. I'll go to them just so I can learn something because who knows? I mean, I may need it one day. And like Karen said, I need something for the future. If I have to go there somewhere else, at least I have something instead of saying, I don't know anything about accounting, so at least, NAWIC gives us a lot of opportunities to learn with the NAWIC Education Foundation, with all our conferences, the workshops and all that come along. National has stuff that comes online that you can take. It's just amazing. I mean, sometimes I just can't even keep up with all of them, but it's nice to know that I have all that opportunity. So, and that's what we need to really pass on to everybody.
Yes, and I think, and I know NFRC is also, they've got their women in fenestration, and with NAWIC, how we have that space where we're not against men, we're not, we love our male allies, but we have that safe space to talk about things that are definitely specific to women. And so having that role of association and of women's groups are so very important to the construction industry and in every industry, really, I feel like.
Yeah, what about all the Facebook groups that you can get involved in, or like women professional engineers, architects? I mean, we have a safety Facebook page, we call the environmental health and safety professionals page. I jump on there. Sometimes I'll have a question, like when COVID came out, I mean, how do you write a COVID plan? Nobody's ever experienced COVID. So all of us started coming together saying, well, you should add this, but don't put this in. Let's keep it simple. No, we need, so I'm telling you, and I have a mentor who's a little older than me, and I still go to her sometimes and I'll just say, hey, how am I going to write this? I've never written anything like this, and she calmed me down and she goes, keep it simple. And I said,
Right. I think that's where another place where, especially when we were all getting ready to come back into the, working safely during that, and then coming back into offices and back into person during all of that, and having to write those, and we all had to really give each other grace, right? Because we were all learning this together at the same time. And so, like, I know I have mentors that are older than me and younger than me, because I need to know how it was done. I need to know the new way of doing things as well,
yeah.
right? So you can have them on both sides. But
Mhm.
having that and giving each other grace, and having that empathy, I would love to hear your opinions on how women leaders differ from male leaders.
I think women leaders, and this is from my personal experience, view the improvement of their employees different than men do. We believe in education. We believe in expanding your horizons. And I know some of the men that I've had to deal with, I've gone and said, can I take this course? Doesn't exactly have to do with what I do, but it will help me in the overall scheme of things. And I was turned down. Whereas a woman would say, how will that help you? She'll get a little more into it. And that's what women do. We want to know the facts. We want to hear, how is it going to help you? And then we can make an informed decision rather than just being totally shut down because of a narrow-minded view. And yeah, I think women are more empathetic. We understand what it's like to have children. We understand what it's like to have, the female ailments that we can have. And we don't roll our eyes when someone says, I can't come in because I'm, cramping too bad or something like that. It's, oh, I'm so sorry, what can I do to help you? So I think we also have that sympathy that some of the males don't have. I mean, yeah, we love our male allies, but they just can't relate to what we're going through. I also think that women have difficulty if they're having an issue with anyone, male or female, taking that to someone in authority. Now, if they're taking it to a woman, it makes it a lot easier. But if they're having to take it to a man, hey, Joe out on the job site is giving me grief, he's making comments about me, it's much easier to take it to a female than it is to take it to a male. Because I think they're taken more seriously if they take it to a female.
I can see that. Cindy, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
I do. I think, and I have experienced this. I think women are definitely more detail oriented. I see that in my my estimators, which is very detailed. They'll make sure they got every number counted and every piece of wood and every piece of drywall and every nail and everything. Where men will go, oh, it's about 50. I'm like, no, give me a little closer than that, The other thing is I think we're a little bit more sympathetic, which Karen touched on a little bit, and understand kind of how things go. And men, they don't care. Like I said, I've had some great bosses in my time. And in fact, if it wasn't for one of my bosses, I probably wouldn't even be in the construction industry at all. So, I think it's just, we have attention to detail. I do think we're more sympathetic, and I think we are more open-minded to learn. Men just think it's a waste of time sometimes, but just
Yeah, I think that kind of
opinion.
ties in with that whole work-life balance and flexibility in having children, or our furry children as well, and things like that. Having all of those different things. Do you feel like there is a big difference between male or female leaders in being more supportive of that work-life balance and that flexibility in work?
I don't think it's more of a male-female thing. I think sometimes it's even a company thing. Especially if your
Okay.
company is owned by a male or a female. And it also
Okay.
depends on whether your company is a very large company or a very small company. The company that I work for right now, we are a very small general contractor. We are very family oriented, and that's the way my original company that I worked for was. But you know what? They got so big, they got so corporate that, they lost that, that family feeling. After a while, you were just a number. And I think that's important. You know, I know we celebrate every birth in our company. I mean, it's a big deal. You know, every new puppy, when someone has a loss in the family, cards go out, gifts go out, even a death of a pet. I mean, they still send out cards, flowers, everything to you. So I think and for me, and Karen knows this, you know, when she had asked me to run for secretary many years ago, I always said no. I said, there's no way that I can work full-time, run my farm full-time, and become national secretary. Wow.
And look what we've done to you.
And look where I stand.
Yes, and you're doing it all, and you're doing it all very well.
I mean, there's been times I've had to cancel some stuff because of a sick horse or something like that. And it's mostly the horse thing, you know, or the pet, you know, it's not me. I'm always fine, but you know what? They understand, you know, that's my number one priority. So,
yeah.
You know, this is volunteer work and I do love it more than anything in the whole wide world, or I wouldn't be here. But sometimes you just got to say no. And sometimes that's hard. It really is. But I think I have the balance down now. So what did I do? I said, I'll run again.
Gross.
Crazy girl.
Yeah, I agree with Cindy. I think it's a lot has to do with the company culture, because the place I was at for the longest time, I actually went back to school after already being in the industry for 20 years. And this was online school. I was working full time, going to school. I actually started back to school the same weekend that my grandson was born. So work, school, doing NAWIC, because I was the vice president of our chapter, and, you know, helping with my grandson, doing it all. And once I got done with school, because our company had a tuition reimbursement program, and the interesting thing is the president of the company, a male, was ready to give me tuition reimbursement. My female boss said, no, it didn't have anything to do with my job. This was a business management degree with an accounting focus, and I was the controller, and it had nothing to do with my job.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
That's why I left him after 30 years.
Just one more question that I would love to ask both of you is being an advocate. Like, what advice can you give for being an advocate to women, and being that advocate that helps not only grow but retain and keep those female employees?
Well, I know in my job that I'm at now, I supervise 2 ladies in the accounting department. If one of them comes to me and says, hey, I think, you know, I'd like to take this class, I'm going to go to my boss and say, I want her to take this class. And they've already said, it's your department, do what you want to do with it. Okay, they're going to take this class and the company's going to pay for it. So it's taken me a long time to get to this position, but I have no problem speaking up for those in my office that I'm advocating for. And I think it makes them better employees. And I'm hoping that a few years down the road when I retire, one of them can take my position. And that's what I've done each time I have moved from one place to another, is I've brought someone behind me to take that position, so that the company's not left in the lurch, or they're not having to hire someone right away. Not the last one, I didn't care, but that misogynistic area, that was a quick turnaround. But in the long-term employer I was at, each time I moved up, I brought someone up with me.
I think I'd have to say for me is we have a lot of ladies in our office, in every department. I mean, everything from accounting to PMs to assistant PMs, and I'm trying to get them involved in NAWIC. And I've had a few of our ladies join, and then they leave. I'm like, come on, you have to stay. So
Right, we've got to keep them.
We got to keep them. I think, you know, and a lot of the girls, you know, especially the ones that are working out in the field, like the PMs that go out and the superintendents, they'll come to me and say, do you have a problem with so-and-so? And I'm like, no, this is how I approach it. And I don't have anybody that works underneath me. But I really try to encourage the girls that are in my office, if you're not happy, go talk to Robert or go talk to somebody else. Or if it's a class you want to take, like Karen says, ask the person you need to ask. I mean, I told Karen once, when Karen asked me to run for secretary, I told her it was the best meeting I ever had. I went into that and I said, I'm going to go talk to him. I said, I can't say yes. I need to go talk to my boss. So I went in there to go talk to him and I told him that, he knows I'm involved in NAWIC and how excited I am about it. When I told him I was running for NAWIC and I said, I really want your support. And he goes, stop. I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, go for it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Then we started talking about vacation because I usually split my vacation with time. And he goes, we'll cover all your time. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, he goes, and by the way, while I have you in here, and I'm thinking, oh crap. He goes, we got you a new truck. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. And I'm like, really? And I said, yeah, the other one's getting kind of old and all that. So as I'm saying goodbye and thanking him for everything, he goes, oh, by the way, he goes, you got a raise. And I'm like, I called Karen as soon as before my own mother. I go, Karen, that was the best meeting I ever had. I got a raise, a truck. I can do all my NAWIC stuff. I don't have to worry about anything. She goes, are you running? I said, of course I am. So you know what? Don't be afraid to ask. I mean, I'll admit I was a little nervous going in there, but I never expected to walk out of there with all of that. I said, couldn't you space all that goodness out through the year? It was all in one shot.
Right. But just like that, like he instilled that, that retained you, correct? So like with all of that, he let you know that you were valued and he advocated for you with your NAWIC events and with everything else. And that kept you happy, that kept you in the industry. So that retention important. of showing people that they're valued. So I think that's
you got to really say thank you a little bit more to your fellow employees. Yeah. And that's another thing that we do at HJ High. We have a board or an online thing that we do where we give people a high five, and and we plug it all in, and then it comes out in an email to the entire company. Hey, I want to give a high five to so and so. You can be anonymous and just say, hey, I think this person did it. I mean, I do them all the time. We have a lot of great people, and just to hear that you did a great job goes so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all the big thing is acknowledging what your employees are doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to say, you don't tell me I do a good job enough. Well, you should. You shouldn't have to be told.
No.
And I was told that once by that female boss. I said something and she's like, well, why don't you say you need a kudos? I'm like, I shouldn't have to say it. So that's something we have to acknowledge about ourselves, is that we need to recognize what our employees are doing. It's not just their job. I mean, it is, but you need to acknowledge when they're doing a good job. And Chrissy and I had a conversation earlier through text that we get hit with a lot of negativity, things we do wrong, but we also need to acknowledge the things we do right.
Awesome. So Deb, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Those are the questions that I had for the ladies. Oh, wait, I see a question in the chat, if that's okay. What are the challenges you see in terms of energy justice and equity issues, gaps in the area of high performance commercial building construction and deploying energy efficient technologies in these buildings? I am looking at Cindy's box for this.
All right,
that's a big one.
Question one more time, because there's three different answers.
Yeah, so I'm looking at equity issues and gaps in the area of high performance commercial building construction and deploying energy efficient technologies in these buildings.
Okay, I'm going to go with the lead side of it because that's where I know more about. When you're doing any kind of green building, first of all, you got to look for certain materials and different things that you need to, buy. It is all very expensive up front, but down the line, and this is, I remember when I first started doing the green building and I'm like, oh my God, look how much this piece of drywall costs compared to our regular piece of drywall. But then, you know what, when you start doing the money down the line, you know, you see how much you can save. It is a lot of work up front. But in the long run, the green building, and I'm telling you, if you got kids or grandkids, green building is the way to go. I mean, solar panels now. I was just out Midwest in Iowa, no, Sioux Falls. And we were driving to another city and all the windmills, you know, I don't get to see that. And, you know, there's controversy in that too. You know, the windmills are saving so much energy, but then also it's killing thousands of birds a year, you know, so, you know, where do you draw the line, you know, energy, you know, birds, and, you know, I'm an animal lover, so I'm kind of stuck in the middle because I really do believe in green energy and green building. So it's really hard, but I think you really got to look at the sustainability of what you're buying. You can look all that stuff up. I had some notes on that actually, but renewable materials, things that grow really fast, like bamboo and all that stuff, use that because you can keep it comes back very quickly, and you can keep on using that and using that. So I don't know, Karen, do you want to take the other half of that question? I want to share.
I don't know anything about that stuff. That's all your
Let's see.
realm. I'll acknowledge that.
We're running. We've got about 4 minutes left, so
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over
I
to
think in
Deb.
reference to the equity and inclusion, I don't really see any issue when it comes to the green building part of it, if that was the question, what she was trying to ask. I know when I took my test, there was people of all the men, women, everybody. And then it was amazing because, you know, my thought when I went in there, it's going to be people like me. And then when I got in there, and let me tell you something, there are so many women out there that are incredibly smart, and nobody gives them the time of day. And they get in there and they take that quiz, and you see them crying as they walk out because you're on a machine and you push that button and you're waiting to see that number, whether you pass or fail. And when I cried, I mean, I'm going to admit I cried. I'm in a little cubicle in a room with a bunch of other people taking the same test. And I cried because, you know what? It was a hard test. It really was. And to think that, okay, this may now make me, that somebody might look at because I have this credential, you know, because if anybody knows about it, it's a very, very hard test. But I think anybody, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, where you were born, how old you are, your color, I don't care. Anybody can take this and put it into the green sustainability certificate. I mean, it doesn't matter. And I have never seen a problem with that even to this day. So
I love that. That's an awesome answer.
That is so great. And the three of you have been such a joy to listen to and to learn from. And I'm so inspired by your energy and inspired by your messages. I think, you know, just this idea of don't be afraid to try, learn from others, explore opportunities, no matter where you are in your career. We talk so much about getting young women involved in the industry, but I think we also, you know, we want to think about this for those who are mid-career, who want to change. There's so much opportunity here. I'm encouraged by the growth. Karen, you mentioned 12%, and you know, I'd love to check in with you next year to see how we're doing with that, and that there's that growth trajectory that we're on with women in this industry. But there is so much more to unpack with the three of you, and I hope we get an opportunity to connect again and to do this. Marion put in the chat your website, and I encourage everyone on the call to check it out. I encourage everyone to check out your local opportunities. I do want to say this to the three of you that when we heard about the construction career camp, I think that's what it's called.
Mhm.
Everybody on our staff was so excited because we wanted there to be something like that for adults, for those of us
It's
who
free and it's
sit
free
at
for
desks
the
all day
students.
long, and we'd love to get out there and to learn some skills. So I might be
Adult
following up with you
version.
on that. Yes, the adult version, probably with wine,
Yeah.
but
I'm in.
it could happen.
And
It could
those
happen,
power
and
tools.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
We need the power
But
tools
we
and then wine,
That's
Deb.
a safety
right.
issue. I can't allow it.
Right. You're absolutely right. But nonetheless, it's just such a great opportunity. And again, spans the generations. And that's really neat as well. So thank you very much for being part of our afternoon.
Thank you for having
to,
us.
yes. And thank you to everyone who participated in this, our attendees. We appreciate it. Again, this is being recorded, so we'll get it out in various media channels, and let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you so much, Deb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time. All righty. And I think we'll stop the recording and we can all sign off. Yeah.
Awesome. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Bye,
Bye-bye,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.